you're all free to live a life that you want, but also you can't do that and then expect your body not to give up on you at some point, or not to be sending you messages and screaming out at you for help.
It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim.
Hello and welcome to the Health in the Real World podcast. We're here today with Stephanie Miller. Stephanie, how you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining me. You're a naturopath and a trainer as well. Give us a quick background as far as what you do, how you got into the industry.
I've always, from being a little girl, had an influence from my parents really in terms of outdoors, exercise. They're both very active. I kind of, actually in my later years at school, I wanted to be a PE teacher. Did work experience and absolutely hated it. So I kind of fell into another job, which was in investment, sort of corporate world. 6 years into that, decided to jump ship and retrained as a personal trainer. So still a link there that's always been with me. But obviously just dealing with adults and people that actually wanted to do some kind of physical activity in their lives. So that's where that kind of element came from. And then with regards to the naturopathy, that happened around 4 years ago, but I'd been through my own health issues with chronic IBS, over 15 years ago now, and I've kind of scratched my own itch, if you like, in terms of my health issue there. And that's where that passion came from, in sort of healing the human body naturally and giving it the environment that it needs. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's me.
Nice. So you wanted to be a PE teacher a while ago and then kind of went a completely different direction with the investments, but realized after a few years that maybe wasn't your true calling, and back into the health and wellness and fitness and that whole world. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So Stephanie, so you have an interesting kind of, like you said, physical fitness and working out is kind of just scratching the surface, and there's a lot of things underneath it. So what do you do when somebody comes to you and they want to know, like, what's the first step? They want to know the first step, like, hey, how can I get started? I've really not been doing very well. Where do you go from there?
So my job really is to unpick somebody's life. So I have quite a robust health questionnaire that I get people to complete, just so I can know as much about them as a whole person, where they come from, their background, how they live their lives. And I guess I'm a believer that people have to take responsibility for their own health as well. So they have to come to me with a real deep understanding that they're ready to make a change. So I will then unpick their lives sort of piece by piece, and guide them, really. I'm not there to be sort of Hitler and crack the whip or anything like that, but it's got, they've come to me for a reason normally. And it's just guiding them on their path to a place of empowerment where they can live their lives freely, pain-free, usually symptom-free if they're struggling with real health issues, and just to feel the power that they can have within by being responsible for their own vessel, essentially.
Do you have a specific sort of specialty, or is there a certain type of person or a certain type of pain that you tend to see a lot of?
I work with males and females alongside each other. I guess in terms of my naturopathy work, my two favourite subjects are gut health and hormonal health. And I think that's just because you get such good results. I suffered with, massive gut health issues myself. So I can truly empathise with it because I've had my own experience with that. So I know that it can be solved 100%. So yeah, they're my two top kind of favourite people to work with. But there's all sorts, people with skin issues, people with high blood pressure, arterial fibrillation. It's such a wide span.
Wow, that's awesome. And so typically, so do people, how's your office doing? Like, are people coming in again, like post COVID, or what is kind of the protocol? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, so my personal training, that is done one-on-one, so people are back doing that absolutely fine. There's no issues whatsoever. And I train a couple of people at their homes as well. A lot of my naturopathy work is online,
Cool.
so I deal with people via email, Zoom, phone calls. There's not a massive necessity to see people in person. Obviously, if they're local to me, then I can. That's not an issue. But it's the beauty of that work is that they can be anywhere in the world, and I can help them.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so it's good. Things are getting back to some kind of normal.
Yeah, yeah. Can you talk a little bit about your struggle that you went through? Because I think this really helps people to realize that, you know, you're a person too, and, you know, health and fitness professionals, we're not perfect by any means. And, you know, it's kind of cool that you got into this through your own struggle. I got into my personal training the same way. I had back pain, and
Yeah.
now I really focus on helping people get balanced and get their alignment right. So
Mhm.
what was that story like with you as far as what you went through?
So yeah, I was in my early 20s, so gosh, nearly 20 years ago for me. And for years, just with chronic IBS, backwards and forwards to the GP, not really coming up with any solution. And this umbrella term that is used as a diagnosis of irritable bowel syndrome, which is something that really, really, excuse the pun, irritates me to hear that this term's still used. And people think there's no cure. And I can absolutely 100% sit here and say that there is. And it was sheer frustration, I guess, that led me down my own route. And it took a couple of years. And like you said, somebody being in the health and fitness industry, you think would be absolutely perfect. But like you said, you know, we're no exception to the rule. We are only human. We're all only a study of ourselves. And that's the other issue, is that we're all so unique. And if you're going to a GP time and time again and your issue's not being resolved, it's, I guess for me, I just took matters into my own hand. You know your body better than anybody, ultimately. So yeah, again, it's that taking responsibility for it. So I tried a number of things myself. Obviously, trial and error. That's a healing process for you. It's never linear. You don't just go from A to B and it's plain sailing over 6 months and you're suddenly
Right.
fine. There's a lot,
Right.
not mistakes that I made, but things I tried and didn't work. But I guess it was my improvement of knowledge that gave me that deeper understanding of how the human body actually worked and what happened to the human body at different times in our lives, and you know how everybody's guts are affected, you know, from an age perspective, never mind environmentally. So yeah, that's how my journey went. And that I guess talking about that, when I look at clients, that's why it's so individual and so unique. There's not just a blanket cure for everybody, because everybody lives their lives differently, and everybody, you know, even from an emotional point of view, everybody reacts differently, don't they, to situations. So yeah, when I am looking at people's lives, I'm looking at how they live their lives, what their jobs, what's their family life like, you know, what stresses do they have in their lives, you know, as well as looking at what they're eating, and you know, is their gut colonized with the enzymes that it needs, and you know, blood testing and things like that. So yeah, it's been a journey for me, don't get me wrong, it didn't happen overnight, but I'm glad to be where I am now, and I can simply say that I am symptom free, with no flare up. So it can be done. You just need some perseverance.
Yeah, that's great. I love how you said that everyone is unique in that way, and you're kind of diving into who each person is as an individual. And also you said that you know your body better than anybody else, and I think that's really true. How do you as a naturopath and as a trainer, I mean, you're there to guide people, but at the same time, like you said, you're not going to do it for them. They need to be invested. How do you sort of like navigate that and get them to really own their decisions, but also you're still there to guide them?
Yeah, I guess when they come to me, it's trying to ascertain where they're at in sort of that decision making cycle. And of course, we can all take 2 steps forward and 5 back. That's naturally going to happen. It's not, again, going back to what I said earlier, it's not going to be perfect. The healing journey isn't perfect. You go into relapse. There's things you'll try that just don't work. There's going to be frustrations. that's just life. But I guess I'm there for accountability as well as the guidance. That's if they know they're investing in themselves as well for something, you want an end result and you want to try your utmost to do what you can. And their reasons need to be big enough as well. I guess the one question I always say to people is, you're either here to make a change, or how will your life look if you just carry on the way you are? You know, how would it feel? How does it feel to you if we say in 2 years' time you're still in the same place, still suffering with the same symptoms? Or do you want to take this path where we can absolutely flip everything around and change everything and you can feel better? You know, which option is it you want to take? And obviously, more often than not, people are willing to kind of put the hard work in and make the change.
Right.
And that's why they're there.
And when it's presented like that, I'm sure people are just like, yeah, let's just do this, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I get your point. Right. Stephanie, I want to go big picture here. More like life values and things like that. We can go even broader than health if you want, but if you were hired to give a motivational speech at, say, like a college or at a corporation, what would your 1 to 2 minute motivational speech be to those people?
Oh, this is big. I feel like I'm Denzel Washington or something.
Exactly. Go whatever direction you want. Steve Jobs, Oprah.
I think ultimately people need to respect their bodies, respect yourself, respect your vessel, respect what your body does for you on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, you know, your health, it isn't guaranteed. It's not a right. And I think there's so much how I kind of, you know, and it's my perspective, of course, there's so much self-sabotage going on that people do to their own bodies, you know, daily, whether that's be what they're eating, what they're drinking, if they're smoking, taking, there's no judgment here, by the way, anybody. You're all free to live a life that you want, but also you can't do that and then expect your body not to give up on you at some point, or not to be sending you messages and screaming out at you for help. Yeah, your health is an honor, and it comes back to respect. You need to ultimately respect it and give it back what it needs if you want it to perform for you, and, you know, keep carrying you through life as you want it to. I think your expectations need to be real of what you can achieve or what you want to achieve. The desire, the belief in yourself. But yeah, you owe it to yourself as well to be thriving, to be fit and healthy and full of energy and full of life. Absolutely. You're only here on this planet once, aren't you?
Absolutely, 100%. We get one round. What do they say when the hourglass runs out of sand? You can't flip it over and start again. You get your one shot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that speech, putting you on the spot there. So Stephanie, how do people get in touch with you? What's your website, social media?
So my social media is at Stephanie2Buds. That's on Instagram. My website is currently down at the minute because I'm doing some maintenance work on it, but that's www.stephaniejane.co.uk.
Stephanie, I really appreciate you joining me today on Health in the Real World. Hopefully we'll get you back again soon, and best of luck to you in the future.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Health in the Real World show. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Visit mycorebalance.com to learn more.